Hi, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Trilby Lawless, and I'm on the BigTime marketing team. And also with me is Ty Sank. He's on our sales team, and he's going to be giving most of the presentation for you guys today. Really glad you guys could all join us, and we're hoping that you can find some new insights and tips to help just make your remote work a little bit easier. Really improve those automations, set up better workflows, because now that we've settled into this routine, that doesn't mean we can't improve upon it, and hope you get some good ideas on that today. Just a few things before I hand it over to Ty. This will be recorded, and I'll send out a recording of this webinar to you tomorrow morning. So look out for that in your inbox if you want to share with other members of your team or any of your peers. And we'll also be doing a live Q&A at the end. So anything that Ty covers today, if you have additional questions about it or something a little bit more specific to your firm, please feel free to submit that in the questions panel you see, and then I'll come back at the end and make sure that Ty sees those, and we'll answer those for you live. And I think that's it. So Ty, I'll go ahead and pass it over to you, and I'll come back for the Q&A.
Great. Thank you so much, Trilby. Always a pleasure to see you. Glad we can continue to meet on a bi-weekly basis and share some helpful tips with everyone who is joining in. Looking forward to continuing to do this as we move forward and continue to navigate this. Love what you said about the focus today and the approach to it. In my experience, talking to folks who are calling BigTime right now, that conversation shifted from uh-oh, how do we do this, to, hey, we're really identifying some ways to communicate even better at times than we had before. So the purpose of today's webinar is to introduce those of you to BigTime who may not know what it is exactly we do, or if you are familiar, help you find some more ways in the system to increase those lines of communication to make both working and managing remote a little bit easier in the day-to-day. Leave you some time to do what you do best, to work with your clients, and not worry about the administrative burden of the communication while we're all working from here in Chicago or Atlanta over there with Trilby. So on the agenda today, we'll do a quick welcome intro to BigTime, and then follow that up with our approach to real-time communication. Communication is always key, especially now that we have increased the distance in the gaps between our staff whenever we're working. So we'll take a look at BigTime, how we're putting out real-time notifications, focusing on internal email and Slack. The types of notifications that we alert to, keeping your project managers ahead of project budgets, and then keeping your administrative or management staff ahead of pending approvals, whether those are time, expenses, or invoices. The real-time ways that we can track those in BigTime and then kick those directly out to you to keep you one step ahead. From there, moving on to cloud-based collaboration. Now that we don't have that direct line of communication and we aren't looking across the desk or the office, how are we keeping an eye on our projects to know who's available to staff on them? When do we have the need to pick up new projects? Who has bench time coming up? For those active projects, what do those deadlines look like? How did we scope those out? How are we performing against those? Increasing the ways that staff knows what's expected of them when it's due, so that they can stay on top of that work. And then ways for our project managers to communicate with staff and once again, be in touch with one another or their team members regarding the project health and budget performance. Moving out of that, we'll enter into the easy and systematic time submission and approval. Time tracking needs to be simple for the staff. When we ask them to go to a timesheet and track time and then provide the opportunity for error, it slows down the process of getting that billable time turned into an invoice to generate cash. So quick ways to simplify the time entry, get staff entering time efficiently and effectively, and then sending that into your review and approval workflow. Beyond that, we'll wrap up with a look at our streamlined invoicing. We found that the invoicing process is where most wait time occurs in the life of a project. Critical, to speed up and expedite the process of getting time and expenses to the invoice, but then that ability to generate that into what can be client facing and make sure that we've given our internal team the proper chance to review, edit, and approve, cut down the time waiting, increase the time cut down the time waiting and increase the cash flow coming in sooner. And then finally, we'll shift into a Q&A. So we have another member of our team online today who's going to be fielding questions in the chat. So feel free to type those in. If we can't answer while we're walking through, just know that we will, again, open up at the end. Trilby will hit me with some of those questions that you have provided, and we will be able to knock those out. Make sure everyone who is attending has a chance to understand the specifics or how BigTime may relate to them. So first and foremost, we're going to start off on that real-time communication. As I attempt to navigate my slides. Got it. Real-time communication. Communication is key, right? So not only do we need the ability for BigTime to work efficiently and effectively, but we need to start sending out those reminders, right? It's always incredible how when we're asking staff to do things like track time, we are suddenly faced with this wait time. People don't know what they need to approve. They're forgetting to go or log in. Getting lost in the day-to-day as that line between the work environment and the home environment blurs a bit. So we'll kick off in the software by taking a look at our integrations. As we're looking at the screen now, this is BigTime when we're logged into this account as an administrator. So always point out at this stage that the administrator on your account has total permissions to do and view everything in here. In your real world environments, we're going to keep this simple and streamlined for the staff, let you customize those user rights, the security settings, so that you'll be in control of who's logging into BigTime and then what they can and can't have access to when they're in here. So over here on our integration screen, a quick list of those best of breed software solutions out there that we will work directly with. So whether we are simplifying the sign-on process, connecting to your calendars to push out due dates, helping on a shared calendar, let staff keep track of start dates and end dates on different projects or tasks or deliverables, integrating with your CRM, or finally, using Slack to communicate. Internally, we are Slack users. Encourage everyone who is not familiar to take a look at that. It has nearly eliminated peer-to-peer emails just for casual or casual professional needs within the organization here at BigTime. It is great for putting channels together to manage projects, for sending gifts if you have some free time, and communicating directly in real time, about whatever that need could be for the client or project. So by enabling Slack notifications, we will be able to ping your staff directly upon assignment of tasks, directing them to the alert and then straight to the task, expectation, and due date. We'll send out those review and approval notifications whenever your project managers are asked to review and submit time on behalf of the staff, and the budget alert notifications and invoice review and approval, all sent directly out to your Slack. We'll see that live in action on the call today once we dive into a project. Beyond the direct integrations, within BigTime, we can set up notifications. So these notifications, wide list here, will be specific to you and how you need this customized to your account. Really quick edits that we can do on this, but just simply saying we want to send out notifications when our PMs need to approve time. We need to alert staff when they're assigned. And then budget status notifications. Continuously, every day, every week, I hear stories and everyone on my team is hearing stories of folks who are having to have the conversation with a client that, uh-oh, we're over budget, what do we do? So gone are the days of looking back 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks to get that report and find out that you're over budget. By setting those budgets within BigTime, directly tracking time and expenses to them, and then enabling the budget status notifications, we will allow you to set up to 3 levels at a project or task or fee or hour level, where you can say, give me a blue alert, a yellow alert, or a red alert. 50, 75, 90 is a great default. Customize the language, customize the messaging, but now as soon as your staff is submitting their time, it's going towards that budget. And when we hit those thresholds, your project managers are getting an alert and a notification sent directly to them as we approach the deadline. The conversation should shift from, uh-oh, we're over budget, to we're approaching budget. Much easier for internal communication, but also on the client side. That could open the door to the ability to get a change order or approval for the, approval to bill more money, rather than the situation where we've waited too long, we've missed our budget, and are now, unfortunately, unable to bill the client based on our agreement. So 3 levels of notifications on these. They can be set at the input hour if we're tracking hourly burn, or input charges, blue, yellow, and red alerts going out in real time to help you and your team stay ahead of those project budgets. So this is the settings on here to introduce you to where these live and how they work. We'll take a look in real time when we hop to that project of how we're sending all of these out. And we'll start there. One more slide presentation. I keep assuming that this will get easier to switch screens, but it is never quite the case. Got it. We'll see some of those alerts and notifications going out. Down at the bottom of my screen, you may see Slack in my toolbar, so we'll be checking that out today. But we'll see those going out whenever we start taking a look at this cloud-based team collaboration. Using this category to bucket quite a few different areas in BigTime. And back up here, let's go ahead and jump to our project list. When we have a project built out, whether it is simply in a bidding or proposal stage, or it's active in progress, how are we centralizing all those moving pieces of time, expenses, budgets, notifications, due dates? How are we using BigTime to help provide the framework to bring all of that together? So up here, we'll enter in, I've used BigTime software as a client. We're using this May webinar series as the project for today, which is where we all are. So taking right here to the project dashboard, at this level, capturing some high level info on a project, and then left to right across the tab, being able to set our contacts, who we're communicating with at the client level, but more importantly, for today's call, the team tab. How are we letting staff know what they need to work on? How are we protecting their timesheet from the ability to enter incorrect entries? Great way to build out your project teams. Assign those staffers to the project. Again, this will let them know where they've been placed. We can identify those roles as well. And if based on your workflow and settings, we can only show staffers the projects that they're members of on their timesheet. Very simple steps like removing the opportunity for error on the timesheet, we find dramatically lead to increased efficiency and accuracy in time tracking. So in this case, we'll put Ty, Jacob, Tom, and we'll throw Kara on here. Define those project manager roles, alert these folks that they are expected to work, and then simplify their timesheet and only show them these projects that we have them staffed on. Now in our phase phases. Keep in mind as we go through a lot of ability to edit BigTime to match the workflow and structure of your firm. While I'm using phases, you may call these tasks. This could be your work breakdown structure. The language around that is a quick edit in the lexicon of BigTime. For today's call, we'll be working with phases, but always point out that the ability to edit, just a quick change in the lexicon for you there. This should house that scope of work. From the initial setup, this is where we are setting our baselines. Design, develop, test, deploy. Our editor makes it extremely easy and user-friendly for your administrative or management staff on project setup to get this built out. Quite simply, we're laying out our deliverables, tasks, or phases, setting our thresholds for reporting, setting our due dates, and then making those task assignments. And as I open this up, I'll go ahead and I know I have deployment due. We're working a little bit in the past here. I think I chose the wrong month. But we have deployment coming up with the due date here of next week. Sheila's working on it. If I come in and I assign myself to this and I save, we will see a direct notification go out. Right here. So pulling up Slack for those of you that are familiar. But as soon as I'm making that assignment within my BigTime account, I'm pinging that staff member right away to let them know where they've been placed and what they're expected to do. From that link, your staff can go directly to a dashboard where they are able to shift and prioritize. Hold on to that, we'll open that up in just a moment. But the key focus here is eliminating that time it takes to communicate. Ty, Sheila, Kara, you are needing to work on the deployment phase of this. We have a due date of next week. The outreach to that is done in a matter of seconds. As soon as we assign, we're sending that alert directly out and then providing an action item for that staff to click a link and be taken directly to their task assignment dashboard in BigTime. Now, from a management point of view on this, we may have seen up here the schedule, the Gantt chart view. Always a great way to provide a quick visual at a project-to-project level here, a narrow view that we have at the moment, but great for a project manager to just have a quick snapshot of how this project was initially scoped. And then, should we have encountered a delay for some reason, we can come in, move out testing, and then compare with any of these baselines or snapshots that we had created. So while we currently got delayed in testing, have that quick reference point of where this was initially scoped, just to help provide that idea of where we're currently at in this, given whatever has arisen compared to how that was initially scoped. So again, turning that into an action item, our project managers can begin the conversation with the client or the staff of what we need to do to work towards the updated date of completion. And finally, working from our baseline here, the conversation of staffing and availability. In this instance, I've said that I have 80 hours to complete design, 160 for development. I've made my assignments at this level, but at this point, it's simply a bucket to work against. With BigTime, you're able to start to look ahead, do some resource or capacity planning, take those buckets of hours, and within those 80 hours that we've given to Jacob and Ty, start assigning them on a weekly or monthly basis over time. Or flip side, let's say this is in a bidding or proposal stage and I haven't made those assignments and I simply need to know who do I have available to work. With our allocations editor, again, we'll get a quick view here of, we've tracked some time against this. We've done a little work before the call today, but budget to actuals at a project level, budget to actuals at a staff or assignment level. But if we're in that stage of, I don't know who is available to work on this, we can come to our allocations editor. come in and let's say I don't know that I have Sheila for deployment, but I know that I need a consultant for 40 hours in May on deployment. We flip the view to view by staff or by role and allow BigTime to make suggestions. So by looking across our resource pool to any consultant in this case that I have, I know I need 40 hours. I can pull in a list of qualified staffers who have availability. Ellen and Jacob looks like haven't been given any work during May. We should probably get to work on that. Cooper and David have availability, but slightly less. So a great way to come in, let's pull from Ellen, make that assignment, save. We're assigning the hours from Ellen or Jacob or Tom's availability, getting real-time reporting on the the allocated utilization to help us understand when that inventory or resource of time is depleting. And as we save, working backwards from here, making sure that we're making the right assignments, updating budgets, and then also continuing that forward thinking view of the ability to do revenue projections or revenue recognitions based off of these assignments. We'll shift in a moment, take a look at a potentially like higher level view of resource management. This is typically a great way for a project manager to be working at a project level on those assignments, letting BigTime help check that availability. If your viewpoint is maybe from a strictly resourcing point of view, we'll take a quick shift now from the project up to the resource. So our utilization dashboard, primary reference point for those resource management role. This dash is pulling info from a staffer's capacity, assigned hours. We've empowered our project managers to divvy out that time on the projects, but now from a management point of view, we need to track, do we have enough time allocated to every staffer? Are they inputting billable time appropriately against what we've scoped out for them? So here, quick grouping of our staff by department, able to come in, define our date range. We'll take a look at last month. At that group of consultants, we can see Kara down below had the capacity to work 176. We allocated 120. She was pretty underutilized, as is nearly everyone in this demo account. And then of that tracking, well, she didn't track any time, but Jacob up here, of the 80 hours we allocated to him, how did he trend against that? Now, again, this is a higher level view from a resourcing standpoint, but should we need to dive in, get a bit more info, by clicking on each staffer, we're able to get a real-time view of where those hours are allocated or any teams that they may be assigned to where we have not yet given them hours. And then from this screen, takes us right back to that project view, should we need to manage, shift, or adjust. But again, the goal here is to, from a resource management point of view, look down across all of our teams, our staff, make sure we have the work allocated, and then really increase those lines of communication between resource sharing. If Jacob's needed on another project, do I have the availability to pick him up? How can I quickly reference that without having to pull reports, without having to talk to another department? Great way from an interactive dashboard to look historically or in a real world view ahead, just to make sure that we have the proper workload. We're avoiding bench time for our staffers, and keeping an eye on our hiring process. Got it. So after that task or phase dashboard, had mentioned before that we are sending out notifications, we're decreasing that time, we're prompting action. Want to give you a quick introduction to how our staff, shifting away from our management eyes right now, which is still a great dashboard to look down from the top, but truly encourage everyone to get staff using our task dashboard, show them what they're assigned to, let those notifications or emails take them directly to this. Come in, let them know what's due on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. So myself right here, come in, I can see that I have plenty of work to do. Pretty behind on some of these already, but hopefully we can get through that. On our May webinar series, I've been assigned to work on deployment and testing. As the admin here, I'm seeing anything that's unassigned or assigned to others as well. If I were logged in as my end user, I would simply see the 2 phases that I was assigned to. Let me prioritize by due date, by status. As an admin, you can customize the fields that we're showing on this dashboard. Make that a little bit bigger. And staff can, again, be taken directly to here within a matter of 3-4 seconds from getting that notification. And if they can get right to work, the ability to track time from timers directly from this as well. This opens the door to status tracking, allowing staff to mark some of these as complete. A lot of different project management workflows we see. It's all about finding out what is right for you and your firm, and encourage everyone to talk to a member of our team, do a quick consultation, and we'll help do a lot of editing to make sure that BigTime is adapting to the workflow that works best for you. All right, and I have lost my slides, but next on the agenda for the day was our easy and systematic time entry and approval. Up until this point, we focused on what it's like from a project manager, resource manager, an admin of the account to do some of the setup, enable our notifications, set the baselines, send all of that out. But want to make sure that we are giving you an intro to how easy and efficient it is to track time in BigTime and get it into that review and approval process. So your timesheets, we're going to provide options. Historically, we have found that the easiest way to get efficient and accurate time is to make it easy, make it foolproof, and provide options that your staff are comfortable with. This is no magic here, right? This is about using BigTime as a framework to build and encourage good habits. So by limiting the project view to only showing staff what they are assigned to, potentially limiting to the task or phase level in between, providing the timers, the weekly view that you see here, perhaps a daily view. Mobile app is great to put it directly in the pockets of your staff. If you are traveling, struggling getting receipt images to be entered or uploaded, tracking mileage, or just those who forgot to put their time in at the end of the day and they are, taking a quick walk around the block. I would have said commute home, but the commute home is no longer I think the commute from the office to the living room, the ability to pull out your phone and get your time in there. Want to make it as easy for the staff to get to as possible and take away from any of those opportunities for error. So I've gone in, I've tracked some time already this week. These rows stay here, but we can come in, view our project drop down, and we'll find right at the top our May webinar series, those tasks or phases. We come in, today is the 7th. Yeah, track some time, enter notes, hit save. Tomorrow, same thing, gonna do a little bit more work on this. Come in, maybe I did let's do 2.5 hours, hit save. Great example, we need notes for this. As an admin, I'm able to customize and define what is required of the staff so that if we have some folks who are notoriously bad at forgetting some of that detail that our clients are asking from us to provide, we just make it turn red, say it can't be blank or empty.
Hey, Ty.
Yeah,
Sorry
hey,
to
Shelby.
interrupt you, but I think your slides and your screen went away. They're back now.
Oh, great. Did audio stick?
Yeah, audio's been there, but yeah, we lost your screen for a little bit, but we're good now. Thank
I
you.
love it. Thank you so much. Otherwise, I would have kept going. I don't know if it was me or the home Wi-Fi, but it's always a new adventure.
No worries, you're good.
Cool. Great. Love that I just kept the enthusiasm going. Thanks. Make sure you keep me in line for the rest of the call, Trilby.
Will do.
Thanks. Couldn't do it without you. had shown as I was talking the weekly view of the timesheet that we're seeing right now on the screen, hopefully. Um, entered those notes, or I'm sorry, entered time without tracking notes, which is what it stopped me from doing. Give you the quick 1-2 on that. There we go. Need notes. Save. And then again, using BigTime as the framework, we are able to, as an admin, define the date ranges. We are able to lock timesheets, provide a grace period, really force the hand a bit to help you build those good habits and practices. We want staff tracking time on typically a weekly basis, or I'm sorry, tracking on a daily basis, submitting on a weekly basis, maybe bi-weekly, but the more regular that cadence, the more effective your time tracking is going to be. So once your time is in, have your staff grab those hours, submit timesheets. We're locking it from the timesheet view of the staff member. We have handed it into that review and approval process. If I may not have any, I am not set up to receive that notification, so I don't, but we would trigger the notification internally via email or direct out to Slack that we now have time awaiting review and approval. So from there, take that action item direct to our pending approvals. Project managers will see this broken out by project, by date range, the overhead view, of the total number of hours and ability to bulk approve or reject. And then we can encourage them to dive in, choose what info to display here. Perhaps they can view rate and cost information. Perhaps they can make edits on behalf of the staff. Those settings will be unique to you and your firm. If it looks good, approve it. If not, reject it. Send a note. That will trigger another notification back to the staff. It turns red on their timesheet. They see what they need to do, and they can enter that back into the review and approval process. And we'll get it all approved. Shelby, for fear of losing my screen again, I'm not hopping back to my slide deck. So we'll do a verbal transition here into the streamlined invoicing. As I mentioned at the top of the call, this is where most waiting occurs in the life of a project. The gaps early on of letting staff know what's assigned to them, getting the time collected, getting it into and out of that review and approval process, just continue to compound as we get to the invoicing stage. It's critical to keep the cash coming in. No one can disagree with that. So BigTime is able to keep everyone ahead of the game so that when it comes to this invoicing stage, if you have something that needs to be billed, it's going to live in this work in progress bucket. Now, from here, we'll give the disclaimer that invoicing in BigTime is extremely robust. We can accommodate for time and materials, fixed fee, retainer, deposit, all different styles of invoicing. For today's purposes, we'll keep it very simple. We'll take what can be a challenging invoice to most. We'll do a fixed fee budget status, pass that along, and we'll kick it out in the matter of just a minute as well. Trilby was able to do a great case study with a group. Check out the content online about reducing the time in the invoicing cycle. Don't quote me, but I believe it was something like 2 weeks down to 2 days, somewhere in those lines, and the ability to increase the flow of revenue and cash coming in. So check that out. Awesome work, Trilby and team. Really appreciate that. So once we're at the invoicing stage, in the administrative or finance role, we come in and we see everything that needs to go out. Our advanced filters can help us stay ahead of that even more by saying, show me the input time by a defined date range. And also show me only time and expenses that have made it through that approval process. So by the time we come here and we know that we have, 4 billable projects for BigTime, anything that I select to put on here has been entered correctly, has been seen and approved by a project manager, and when I pick it up to put on this invoice, it is truly ready to go out to the client. So we'll create an invoice. First we're going to choose the style. You'll see here quite a few options. Again, every client has a different preference. Every project has a different style. Today, we're going to take this and do a fixed fee invoice. So from this screen already, I'm pulling the WIP that I had entered. Let's actually update that. I can see the WIP that I have entered right here. I can check boxes. I can type in percents and have it auto calculate. Whatever the need or style, whether we're doing percent complete, milestone based on completion, we are able to have a direct correlation between that initial budget that was set, what had been input at this level, or simply check those off and bill. Now I've cleared my WIP, created the 2 line items as my accounting solution. We'll see this. We still have a final chance for a financial admin to take a look at all that detail that's going into this. And then from here, by having your pre-built templates in BigTime, again, not every client has the same detail they need to show, unfortunately. We grab these 2 simple line items, but by moving them into the right template, out to a PDF, or doing a quick preview in BigTime, we are able to, you'll notice all the BigTime logo here, the branding, the fonts, the color scheme, all customizable. You will only see your logo and info on this. But we're able to take those time entries that have made it through the review and approval process, and in the matter of 90 seconds, we've taken it through to an invoice that's providing our original scope, total budget. In this case, want to pull in remaining, previous, current, dollars and percents, continuing to pass along that budget status information to our client. And then down below, the ability to pick up all of that detail. So no more pulling reports to find that, no more referencing an outside system, no more having to talk to your accounting team to find out what was previously billed. We take the input time, 2 to 3 clicks, are translated through to an invoice that shows the granular level of detail from the time entry, as well as passing along the higher level budget status and billing information to the client. Now, from this point, if you are entering a review and approval workflow, we would be able to hopefully type better than that. Attach documents if we need outside reports going with this. Add notes, and then enter this into that review and approval stage. Again, from that invoicing overview, if you are, I think in a real world sense, probably drafting more and potentially not doing that one by one, go ahead and create all of your drafts and then view your drafted invoices. Bulk options are great just to cut down on the tedious clicking and unnecessary time spent. Bulk action, begin review and approval process. So once again, that notification is going out. Let's see if we had sent these. I have invoices to review. By clicking this link, I'm in incognito, so it's not going to open up for me. By clicking that link, we're taken directly to our pending approvals. Instead of time, we're now going to be approving invoices, and we have a list of all of our invoices that we need to check, stamp, and then finally send out to that client. But again, all about cutting down the administration time, cutting down the time waiting, simplifying and automating the process to get there, as well as carrying that through to the final PDF that we send out to the client. All right. So truly, I am very nervous to leave this screen and lose a view. So hang on. But at this point, we have made it through all of the notification enablements, the communication views for staff, for project managers, for our resource managers. hit on all the notifications going out, the action items, and then how we speed up that invoice process for our finance team. Ton of content, and I know we are 20 minutes coming up here. Let's kick it over to you and all the attendees. If there were any questions that we weren't able to answer, open up for 5-10 minutes and happy to answer things.
Perfect. Thanks, Ty. No, it's tricky juggling that one monitor and running a webinar while working from home.
Listen, so if you've spoken
Harder
to
than
me
you
before, yeah, you've heard me complain about one monitor and no haircuts. So they're both still problematic.
Your two essentials. Oh man. Okay, well, we did get some good questions in, so thank you to everyone who submitted. First up is from Renee. She said, I know you recommend Slack, but I see BTS can integrate with Outlook. Is that an additional charge to have integration live, or do you just need to set it up?
Yeah, everything you see there is a direct and native integration. No additional fees from BigTime on any of those. If you're looking at Outlook as a calendar, you'll also see Outlook, Google, and iCalendars. Just enable those settings. We're able to take dates, whether they are project or task, or even any custom date field on a record, and then enable the ability to push that out into your calendar as well. So again, increasing the visual visibility. I live by my calendar here. If it's not on there, I'm probably going to forget about it. So taking any of those important dates and then kicking them out, but no fee. Everything you see there, you enable the integration and send it right out.
Perfect. Next, we have a question from John. He asked, can I pull a report that shows utilization by staff rather than project?
Oh, yeah. Utilization. Perhaps should have covered some reports on that. Utilization always comes up, but even more so now as, again, the critical hard numbers in real time. But all that data that we're capturing, we saw a bit of that utilization on the dashboard. All those fields are exposed in reports. So from maybe more of a payroll perspective, we want to simplify that. Or if, from I think you said project level, it'd just be a matter of pulling that field into a report, doing a quick shift on how we view it. But I know I learned the other day, someone said there were about 8,000 report fields in BigTime. So typically able to find the fields you need, just switch the subtotaling and display that the way you would need it.
Awesome. Yeah, lots of customization options there. The next person asked, is it possible to do a mix of T&M and fixed fee invoices for one project? It's a good question.
That's a great one. And to those of you who may not be familiar, what we typically see, or an easy example is, we have schematic design, design development, where we've bid for the fixed amounts, right? And then we're doing an additional services, or maybe in more of a software sense, a managed services. Absolutely. Our language around that, if you hear myself or anyone on our team, we refer to that as item-based billing. What that means is each of those line items that we had set, design, develop, test, deploy, at that level of setup, we are able to choose the invoicing style. So saying that the first two, design, develop, will bill out at a milestone or percent complete. We do an additional services line, flag that as T&M, track as normal. The staff doesn't necessarily need to know the billing style is different. Choose your item-based bill, and then your line items will auto-populate and be able to display all that detail.
Great. And looks like we just have one more question, so we'll wrap up about 15 minutes early for you guys. This last question from Cheryl wanted to know, how long does it take to go from purchase to go live?
Oh, great. You'll see at the end here, I've put on some of our accolades and awards from G2 Crowd. We got most implementable recently. I believe that was spring, spring 2020 on that report, Shelby? Got it.
Yep.
Something that we're super proud of, from my seat here through to our success and implementation team, we see in the space some implementations that can go on 3 months, 6 months. I'm always cautious of how I'm saying customization in BigTime and trying to say edit more. Saw a bit of that on the call. We have a very quick implementation time, anywhere from where average is 4 weeks or 1.1 months. So typically anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks before we have a launch. Um, we tell folks all the time it's dependent on the timing and the sense of urgency, setting the deadline and working backwards. But we can have a BigTime account created and have you tracking time in a matter of minutes. But we do take a phased approach to the rollout. Really want to target those different teams. Thinking about what we covered today, we did sessions for a staff member, sessions for a project manager, sessions on invoicing for your finance team. We do a scheduled rollout on that, but 9 times out of 10, you'll be up and running in under a month.
Awesome. And one more question just came in, Ty, if you don't mind. Or 2 more. So we'll try to get to both of those. That's cool.
You bet.
Some time. This one was from JC. She said, when an invoice is sent, is the payment method possible directly?
Payment method
And then
possible.
I think this might be an add-on. She then said, can I implement and import myself?
Got it. Okay, so with payments, what we looked at today, I was not communicating with an accounting solution. So in that integration screen, you would have seen QuickBooks Online, QuickBooks Desktop, and Sage Intacct. So when you are set up and communicating with your accounting solution, receivable or payment management can vary, firm to firm. So very common to see that invoice go to the accounting solution. Intuit has Intuit payments that can be received. So as of today, we are not taking payment. We are providing a link to an online payment platform. The alternative would be letting your accounting solution facilitate the receipt, the receipt of payment. But we saw in a meeting last week, one of our upcoming releases, I am confident it's this quarter and very soon if they're showing it, we are integrating payments. So direct from BigTime, I don't know the name of the provider, but on that BigTime PDF that goes out, you will be able to directly receive a credit card or ACH payment. That was a long answer. I had a lot of coffee, but to shorten it, too long, didn't read. Today, we can provide a link to an online platform, or we can speak with QuickBooks or Intacct, who may facilitate receipt of payment. This quarter, we are releasing a direct payment processing option on the invoice in your BigTime account.
Awesome. And yeah, that's targeted for June too, hopefully. We'll see.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then one more question. This is great. So if you have any more, please keep them coming. We'll go till the top of the hour if you have them. This is from Ren, I believe. I hope I'm saying your name right. They asked, follow up to the billing question. I have used item-based billing, but I'm having trouble developing the bill template so it shows percent-based, then the hours. To clarify, I would like the hourly portion to show the hours the way a TE invoice populates along with the budget.
Got it. So first and foremost, it sounds like you are either deep in a trial account or on an active subscription of BigTime. So if you are on a trial account, reach out to the rep working with you. Anyone on my team will be very able and capable to help. If you're on an active, okay. In that case, support and success. Shoot Trilby or myself a message after this. We'll make sure to connect you with the right people. But that is exactly how it should work. You're showing the budget status on the fixed fee, 25% billed, 75% remain. You're picking out the one TNM task and you're able to organize all that detail that goes in. So that will come in your, when you're building the PDF in your template in your settings. If you're not seeing it, it could be a matter of missing a checkbox or an organization, but reach out to support success or myself or Trilby. I'll be able to easily coordinate, but we'll get you in touch with someone that can help. Best thing is also an example too. Shoot that over via email and we can work to help recreate that.
Awesome. Great. And I'll make sure to connect you with support since I have your information. So we'll get that taken care of. All right, so looks like it's it on questions today. Before we go, just a reminder, we will send out a recording in the morning. Thank you guys all so much for attending. And like Ty briefly mentioned, if you are new to BigTime and would like to play around with the platform a little bit and see how it could really work for your form, we do have two options. You can either start a free trial with us, or we can do a one-on-one consultation, just like this, but a little bit of a deeper dive, really talk specifically to what it would look like for your firm rather just in general to help see if it's a better fit. And that's about it, I think. Anything else for you to add, Ty?
No, just to take what you had just mentioned, so much of BigTime is the ability to adapt to your firm. So while we're talking about some architectural specific or development specific firms, please reach out, whether it's a member of my team who's just doing a quick consult to answer your questions, or we're kicking off a trial instance and helping customize that to you, reach out. We have all the BigTime knowledge and the ability to share that with you. Want to make sure you're able to understand how it applies to you and your workflow. And then finally, Trilby, just a last quick shout out to you and your team. We did a webinar, was it yesterday or 2 days ago, helping firms understand what to do with their PPP loans. Huge turnout, huge success, and just truly appreciative of everything you and your team do to help communicate with everyone out there who is using the software or needing some help in areas directly related to the management of their staff or their business. So awesome work, keep it up. And I, as always, look forward to seeing you the next time we regroup to do this.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Ty. And I'll include a link to all of our COVID-related, just remote firm management resources that we have along with the webinar.
Awesome.
And
And
that's about
check
it,
us out
guys.
on LinkedIn. Yeah, hit a
Yeah.
LinkedIn follow, say hi to me on LinkedIn. Hit the like on all that content that goes out, and we will continue doing this and helping you out. Thank you so much, Trilby.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Ty.